On today's episode of WGTV, Prosper faces costly damages in their parks. One Walnut Grove teacher is carrying on a legacy of service, and a young athlete is playing through a condition. These stories and more on this episode of WGTV.
Good afternoon, Wildcats, and thank you for tuning to this episode of WGTV. Live from the Grove, I'm Olivia Cook.
And I'm Jackson Kingierski.
We have many exciting stories coming up, but first, Jackson's going to catch you up on what's been happening at the Grove. Jackson.
Thanks, Olivia. In celebration of the school year wrapping up, Grove Fest is here. The festival will be held May 9th at 7 p.m. on the turf fields. This will include fireworks, a Luke Combs tribute band, and catering by Hardee's Cafe. Tickets are $2 for students and $5 for adults. Prosper ISD is looking to make some changes related to school devices. As a result, at the end of the school year, all students must return their Chromebook and charger. They'll be collected in all social studies classes. However, if you are a student who has summer school, you are allowed to keep your device. This past weekend, DECA traveled to Florida to compete in internationals. 4 students attended a leadership conference, while 7 students competed at the DECA International Career Development Conference. Aditi Chocharia made the final round, meaning she was ranked as one of the top 20 competitors in the world in the Marketing Communication Series. This Wednesday, around 10:15 a.m., a storm consisting of strong winds and heavy rain hit the Prosper area. During that time, some of Walnut Grove's stairwells were slightly flooded with water. All stairwells near the WAC and the side entrance had a significant amount of standing water on the ground. Along with the flooding of the Grove, many roads on Prosper were dangerous to drive on, resulting in police presence in order to block off certain streets.
The fresh spring weather welcomes the perfect time to visit the park. However, Prosper's green space is facing serious damages due to one electrical vehicle. Blake Shalmo has the story.
One of the town of Prosper's attractions is the public parks that provide a space for all Prosper citizens. However, they've been facing an unexpected challenge recently: e-bikes.
I usually go to the park every day after school with my friends to play basketball. The court is super slippery because the bikes have sanded down the concrete. I've experienced disturbances while they'll drive through the courts while everyone else is playing, or they'll go on the pickleball courts and try to ride their bikes there.
The destruction of these parks hasn't only been on the courts, but also on the fields, sidewalks, and playgrounds. It costs the town and taxpayers thousands of dollars to fix the damage to these amenities.
You know, I can't give you the exact figures, but it's over $100,000 in damage to some of the parks, which ultimately is, taxpayer money having to go back. Some of the parks, like Lakewood Park over on Coit, that park had about $100,000 in damage, and we, as the town, just spent taxpayer dollars to build the park for the community to enjoy. And now we're having to reinvest more money back into the park, merely months after it's opened. So that's a huge fiscal drain on the town.
These heavy costs come with heavy penalties, with some of the potential charges being up to a felony for those causing damage to the parks.
Teens will get on their bicycles and we'll go to stop, and most of the time it's a conversation, hey, you're not supposed to be here, please do this, X, Y, and Z, and then they choose to flee. Under the Texas Transportation Code, an e-bike is a vehicle, and when you flee on an e-bike, it's a felony.
To help combat the destruction of these parks, the Prosper Police Department has installed surveillance cameras to try and prevent any further damage. If you see anyone committing these violations, don't hesitate to call Prosper's non-emergency number, 972-569-1000. For WGTV, I'm Blake Shalmo.
Prosper's parks are hoping to become damage-free with the help of the police department's surveillance cameras. Again, if you see anyone violating the law, call the non-emergency number 972-569-1000. Again, that is 972-569-1000.
On Tuesday near Wise County, an 18-wheeler carrying $800,000 worth of dimes flipped, resulting in over 8 million dimes being spilled over Highway 287. 2 drivers were driven to the hospital for non-life-threatening injuries, and for reasons unknown, the dimes were not in standard issue bankrolls. The Texas House has passed 2 bills aiming to tighten social media restrictions for minors, including a ban on underage accounts and required warning labels about mental health risks. House Bill 186 would prohibit minors from creating social media accounts and give parents the right to request account deletion. A second bill would require platforms to display mental health warning labels, and both measures are expected to advance in the Senate. Tech companies are likely to challenge laws in court, arguing that they violate First Amendment rights.
A history teacher here on campus is continuing her family's legacy, not just in education, but in the service to the community. From a grandmother who inspired students for years to a dad who led the Frisco Fire Department, Christopher Munchmeyer has the story.
In 2001, an elementary school opened in dedication to Ruth Borchardt in Frisco ISD. Named after Walnut Grove teacher Miss Bogart's late grandmother, she taught in Frisco ISD for over 30 years. Retiring in 1976, her story is rooted in Frisco ISD history, and now Miss Borchardt is building on that foundation and prosper.
My grandmother was a teacher, and she, really just instilled a love of education for me, and my family in general really valued education. Soon after she passed away, I actually had a dream, and in my dream, I was teaching her. Like, I was a teacher, and she was in my class, and once that dream happened, I was like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. This is my calling.
For the Borchardt family, education and service have always been in their blood.
That's Mackenzie Ruth, and her name was Ruth Borchardt. She's named after my grandmother. Every time Mackenzie would walk in the room when she was about that tall, my mom would start laughing when she walked in the door. I think she saw the connection early on with Mackenzie. So yeah, it's history repeating itself, if you will.
Her dad, a former fire chief in Frisco, retired when she was in middle school, but his impact never did. Mac Borchardt now works as a special assistant to the city manager, and for him, it was never about the job. It was about giving back.
Your community is what you make of it. So him being fire chief, he obviously gave back to our community in Frisco every single day. He did so much for the city of Frisco just in general. One of the reasons why I wanted to come to Prosper specifically was because I felt like I wanted to go somewhere that I could make a name for myself, and not necessarily have all of my family tied into it. Because my grandma, she has a school named after her in Frisco, and while not everybody has been to the school, my last name is pretty recognizable when it comes to the Frisco area.
Miss Bogart's teaching career began at Walnut Grove and is already leaving a memorable mark, earning her both the Star Polisher and the District Secondary Rising Star Awards, which stand as a testament to her legacy of education and service, passed down through generations. For WJTV, I'm Hudson Acosta.
The Borchardt legacy is continuing to influence the next generation through Mrs. Bogart's well-deserved achievements. From legacies in the classroom to legacies in the lane, Camila Salinas is in studio with your sports recap. Camila?
Thanks, Olivia. Callie Huck won the award of Prosper ISD Female Athlete of the Year. Both her and Laura Crothers went to state, with Callie competing in UIL 5A District 9 800 meter and Lauren competing in the triple jump. Callie placed fourth in the 800 meter with a time of 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and Lauren recorded a top jump of 39 feet 7.5 inches in the triple jump. From sprinting to pitching, softball had a game against Reedy yesterday with a win 3-2. The star player was Lindsay Hooker with 2 RBIs and a home run. The Wildcats have another game against Reedy tonight at 6:30 and again tomorrow at 1. Along with track, the Grove's golf team is also heading to state. Kayla Moore has the story on how one Wildcat perseveres through a lifelong condition.
Go in! Go! Oh my God, you almost made it in that hole.
Golf is often seen as a mental game, but for sophomore Grant Clapp, staying physically strong is just as critical. Living with scoliosis, he's had to approach the game differently than most of his teammates.
I definitely have to, implement a lot more recovery than other people. A lot of other people can kind of just practice and do their own thing, while I have to, see chiropractors, go to physical therapy, and just watch over it more.
Despite his condition, teammates and coaches say you wouldn't even know it by watching him play. His focus, consistency, and performance have stood out both on and off the course.
I was honestly surprised because at no point did I think that someone could be that talented and confident in all the things and have, dealing with the things he deals with his back. So I would say it just caught me by surprise because it never occurred to me that he was dealing with that, while all the while just being very, very successful in what he was doing.
His approach hasn't just helped his own game, it's set an example for his teammates, showing the importance of recovery, patience, and taking injuries seriously.
One thing I do take away from him a lot is just learning how to listen to your body. Whenever something just small is wrong, just to take a couple of days off and don't try and push anything, just because we do have a lot of stuff coming up here at state and through summer. So definitely I look at how he is able to listen to his body and stay patient and, don't rush out of the injury and do everything you can to just make sure your body's 100% before you just try and rush back out there and potentially hurt yourself even worse.
With every drive, chip, and putt, Grant's not just playing for a title. He's proving strength can look different for every athlete. For WGTV, I'm Caleb Moore.
The boys golf team will play May 5th and 6th at Legacy Hills Golf Club in Georgetown, looking to take home another state title for Walnut Grove this year. That's all for your sports recap. For WGTV, I'm Camille Salinas. Back to you, Olivia and Jackson.
Thank you, Camila. That's all we have for today's episode. For WGTV, I'm Jackson Kongursky.
And I'm Olivia Cook. Thanks for watching, and remember, Wildcats, set the standard.